That's marked 2. Canadian leaf of some sort. Um, oh, here's a gold piece. Here's a piece of gold right here. Here is a college fraternity key tag, I guess you could say. I've got one for Phi Theta Kappa, and then what's the other one? We're in 2 fraternities. I'm in, and they're both honor rolls. One's for the 2-year college, and then one's for my 4-year college as well too. Hopefully you can see that. Always look up anything with Greek lettering on it like this. This is a gold one. This one could be worth a few $100. I will have to look it up, but it's definitely marked 14 karat on the back. It's a pretty hefty piece too. Again, I love the kind of stuff that we do. Early Boy Scouts. This is real early, 1920s by the marking or the actual hook on the back. That's 20s right there. No doubt, no question. I've had too much of this stuff not to be straight on that. The Maccabees, no idea what that is. Tac, I always love these kind of things, 10, $15. Here is a St. Mary's Mercy Hospital Volunteer 500. 10 karat gold. Here's another gold pin right here. This one's 10 karat gold. It's so many hours of volunteer work for the hospital. Let me see if we can get it where you can see it a little better. There you go. All of these kind of things. Most hospital pins, gold or gold filled, go for some good money. Most everyone I've ever seen. It's just a fact on those. There's a lot of little things in here. I don't even know what some of these are. Here's some Hawaiian surfing thing. Maybe it's a surfing pin of some sort for a competition. I don't know. Again, some of this stuff could be worth some good money. Here's another piece what looks to be gold. Oh, it does have some markings on it. This is a religious piece. Let's see if we can get it where you can see it. There you go. It looks like it could be gold. It's hard to say. Let's see here. What else I got? Just a lot of odds and ends in here. Here's another piece of gold, it looks like. 1945. Yeah, here's another piece of gold in here. Again, these are things you can pick up for almost nothing. Literally. Again, this is just one little box. I'm just trying to give you an idea on what to look for. These little tiny things that most people think are junk are where we made the most money. And nowadays, we've just moved up to more expensive junk. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. This is early, 1920s or 30s, like a dime store one. It's got a made in Japan on it, so it's pre-World War II by the way it's written. Another, oh boy, that's really weird. It's that it shows up like that. There we go. Maybe, I'm not sure why that shows up. Maybe because it's partially see-through. Maybe if I do it like this. This is a Mickey Mouse premium of some sort from somewhere. Probably a prize, $10 or so on something like that. Here is a German beer bottle opener. Now this one's a pretty interesting one. I'll have to look this up as well too. Hopefully you can see that there. Back's nicely marked as well too. Again, 50 cents or less. This might be 30 or 40 bucks. It looks old. It's very heavy. Let's get some of these out of here too. Hopalong Cassidy. Here's a Hopalong Cassidy token. May have been hold, but I bet you I'll still get, say, $6-8 on this one here. May have come out of Post Cereal. They were good on doing that. I always look at every piece of silverware dumped in a bin. This is American Airlines. These are like $4 or $5 a piece. If you get a bunch of them, you get a little more out of them. Another American Airlines. Again, it's all marked on the handle, as you can see there. This one still has a price tag. I doubt I paid $1 for it, but either way, this is probably an early one, 1940s, maybe even a little earlier. It's got that Art Deco look to it, and it's heavier than the newer ones, which is odd. So I would say it's an earlier one. So the TWA like this, say $14-15, so it's worth $1 any day of the week. What's this one too? Another American Airlines. This is some kind of butter knife, International Sterling, or International Silver, I'm sorry. And this is New York Central. This is from the railroad line. Again, these aren't going to be pricey, but you put a few of them together, you can get, say, $4 or $5 to, say, $7 or $8 on the max on a good day. So these all add up. In fact, here's an earlier one here. This is, let's see, Bowls Lunch Hall. So this is like an individual restaurant. On this, I would Google, and I'm going to try and figure out where it's from. I'm almost sure it's from this local area. I will clean this up. It will shine like brand new silver when I'm finished with it. It's something you got to take your time and be careful with. So again, this is probably a quarter or less. Anything with like a restaurant name goes very well. Iced teaspoons from like a soda shop go extremely well. So this is like a premium from a cereal. This is just a little tiny piece of junk plastic. 14, 15 bucks is probably what I'll get out of this piece here. Even with the driver missing the head, I'll probably at least get, say, 10 or 12. So again, these are cheapo things. Here's a nice early, probably a Midge maybe, or a Tootsie. Midge toys, yeah, hopefully you can see that. Now there's Midge and there's Tootsie toys, and they both look similar to this. There's 3 or 4 other brands as well too. This is probably 1930s, futuristic looking car. Some of these can go for 100, 150 bucks. I'll have to look this specific one up, but it's in really nice condition in all honesty. Here is a cable car company. Let's see, Lake Erie is the last one. I know the LW. I'll have to look up what the W, or the LE I know is Lake Erie. The W I'll have to look up. This is a trolley car label, probably from the 20s or 30s, or patch. Would have went on a sleeve. I've gotten, say, 30 or 40 for some of these. This one I don't really know right off the top of my hand, but most of the time you can get 6 to, say, 12 bucks for most any one of these. So that's that. Any of these little wood birds, I buy every one of these little wood birds I get. Unfortunately, somebody's pulled off the original tag, but it's all handmade, all carved and painted in the whole works. It's got wire-wrapped legs. 50 cents probably I paid for this thing. Again, this is what pays my bills when I first started. This paid all of our bills, all these little knickknacks. You don't see me showing these much anymore because now we just throw them in boxes these days. I've got hundreds of pounds of this stuff. I barely showed you anything. Something like this, you might get 30 bucks for it. You might only get 10, but you know, you're at least going to get, say, 8 to 10 on something like this. This one's a rather nice one. If they're signed by an artist, they go for even more. Figures and stuff I find in these things too. This is Robotech. He's 4 or 5 bucks. He's got a quarter, 25-cent price tag written on the back. So wherever I got him from, I paid a quarter for him. On a good day, you might get 8 to 10 bucks for him. Hand-carved little wooden frog. Folk art carvings. Probably put 20 or 30 bucks on him. He looks old. It's real good wood too, like a walnut or something, or even a pecan. It's definitely old. You can smell it. This has got an ancient smell to it. This could be from the 20s or even before. This could be some character piece for all I know. I'll have to look this one up as well. Let's see here. Now this I knew right off the bat. Almost every one of these this size is a shaving kit. So, you know, the old style razors. I usually get, say, depending on the brand, let me see if there's a brand name on. Oh, it's a good name brand. It's a Gillette. So maybe 8, 10 bucks on something like this. Maybe more. It looks like it's never been used. So, along with the Silver War, this is a infantry bugle. Again, reproduction. The pins on this were correct. Now, you can replace these because they're just soldered on there. I don't usually mess with that with stuff like this. It'll probably just go in a case or something. I'll sell it for, like, decorations. You know, something like this, 10 bucks at most. Clock key bag. Now, this one, I always grab these when I find them. Always, always, always. Now, this bag's... the key in here is actually way earlier than that. This is probably, say, in 1880s, 1890s through 1920s at the latest. It's brass and steel with this actual pin connection, which you can see the pin up there. Some of these can go for 15, 20 bucks, in all honesty. And then there's a little tiny... This one looks like it's a toy one. Now, I sell toy keys like this for, say, 8 to 20 bucks. Any of these little tiny keys that run a modern day, well, I say modern, but 1940s on up to, say, 60s. Some of the wind-up tin toys use these. I'm going to have to look this key up, too. I find keys, too, that are marked with the clock company name on it. This little bag with that key in it, just this one key, I'll probably get 10, 12 bucks for. The little key in there, maybe 8, 10 bucks as well, too. Now, I stick to whatever makes me money, as I say, so these are Phineas and Ferb figures here, and they're official. They've actually got numbers on the bottom. I'll have to look these up. The last Phineas and Ferb figure set I got, and I don't think it was the same set. He's got green hair, but I think I got like 17 or 18 bucks for it. They were only up a little while. This is a Disney show, so, you know, these do fairly well. I don't know where these came from, but I'm gathering it's almost a set. So, anyway, these are something you can probably get for 50 cents or so, maybe even for the whole set. So, you know, so far that's a pretty big pile here. Now, here is like a tribal style. It's a real long necklace. Oh, and it's got a marking on it, too. I can't quite make that out. Some of these sometimes are solid silver, but I don't think this is. It could be. I'll have to look it up. Again, something like this I probably paid $1 or $2 for at most. I'm going to put $34.50 on it. I bet you I will sell it. I don't think I'll clean it either. And if you want to know on something like this, if you don't want that touching your skin, you don't want to clean it, but you still want that same look to it, you can spray it with the same spray I showed you how to spray some of the cards and stuff, and the postcards to bring the surface color back to it. So, you know, $34.50 on something like that. Now these I find, I usually pay $1 for these. This is better than most. This isn't actually vintage fan. There is some green in this one. It's all hand painted. The color of the paper is actually the gold. And in fact, the gold is hand painted on there. They've painted the gold on just probably regular paper. And then this is all hand painted. You can see the designs in there. Now, I've looked at this closely. There's a lot of these that are just printed, but you can see the brush strokes and you can feel the paint on every one of these little leaves. This is a lot of work. It's handmade. These are real carved, cut pieces of bamboo. It's got looks like a bamboo or some kind of heavy, maybe even brass. I'll have to think about what that might be on there. But stuff like this, they're not high pricey things. On average, on something like this, you know, you should expect to get at least 15 or 20 bucks on one, even though it's hand painted. Maybe I'll put up for $57.50 as a hand painted one. Maybe I'll get 20 or 30 bucks for it. It's early. It's definitely early. Probably a bring back from like a GI from World War II would be my guess. Advertising piece here. Again, look for things that you're not going to think that's worth anything. This just looks like nothing. Most of this stuff people wouldn't think much of, but I've made a living off this. This is Peking Garden. It's probably a crab smacker or something like that, tied to a restaurant like this. Oh, it's actually from a Hong Kong restaurant. Peking Garden in Hong Kong. It's got Hong Kong on the back. So this might be something pretty good. Something like this from that city, from a specific restaurant. I bet you $1,000,000 I can Google this and find out, you know, when the restaurant was around. I'm probably looking at 15 or 20 bucks minimum on something like that. Now this, I can't sell on eBay the way it is. I've got little pieces of red that I cram into the end. As long as it's on there when you sell it, you can sell this kind of stuff. This is probably a 1930s. It says Derringer on it, on the one side. And then what did it say there? Heavy Toys? Something along that line. It's definitely an early one, probably 1930s or so. Oh wow, it's even got a pick. Now, if you're older like I am, you're gonna remember the old cap guns. Now this is a cap gun. This is a real cap gun. Let's see if I can get it open without doing any damage to it. It's got a real tight spring on it. There you go. Caps go in there, and what happens at the end of the day, and I almost never see one of these, it's the pick to clean it. Now, at the end of the day, it shoots like little pieces of real gunpowder, and then the smoke doesn't come out because it clogs the hole. And that pick is made to actually unclog it. So that's rather interesting. I don't see that kind of stuff very often. It still works. Is there a maker on it? Now, again, I'm going to put a little red cap so I can sell this. Something like this. I think the last one of these I got $57.50 out of. Day one it went up, and it didn't have the little pick that's with it. The way it's looped on there with, you know, a multiple loop spiral on there, I'm assuming that is definitely original to this. It's got an early style. Take a look at that top part. That's early. That's 30s or so. Definitely this part up here. You can tell it's smaller than the modern ones. It's more like flattened steel. It's probably stamped out. This is an early piece. This will sell very well, maybe higher than $57.50. Next one's a Jew's harp. You'd hold this up to your mouth like this, and you'd be able to open and close your mouth, and you'd make noise. They did this on Hee Haw. This is probably from, yeah, it's hand-cut steel. You can see. Let's see if I can show you how you can tell hand-cut steel. This is probably Civil War all the way. I've had enough of Civil War pieces like this. Okay, there you go. You see those lines on the steel piece in the middle? That's hand file marks. That means it was hand-cut, this piece. And the piece that it's wrapped around, this piece here, is actually hand-wrought iron. This isn't a real one. This one's probably 40 or 50 bucks any day of the week. Still works, not damaged. This will go in the Civil War section. It's a musical instrument, believe it or not. Stuff like this. Everybody knows wrestling's worth some money. This is Superstars Wrestling. There used to be a wrestling academy in the Toledo area as well as in Michigan. I've been to this one. This is early. This is probably 70s. Stuff like this right here could probably go for 150 bucks even, believe it or not. So I always buy early Smurfs if they're a nickel or a quarter. This is a original. I don't know how you Schleich. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's got all the correct payo and all the correct markings on it. Some of these can go for 40 or 50 bucks. I just throw these up until I get a bunch of them. I've got, I don't know, a couple dozen of them now. I'll probably wait till I get a bunch more. These are cereal promos. I'll usually wait till I get a bunch of these, like 6, 8 of them, and I'll throw them in a lot. These are something I pay maybe, 10 for $1, 20 for $1, maybe a quarter at the very, very most. You're going to get 3 or 4 bucks back out of them on average each. So again, this is the kind of stuff that I made my money on. I started off selling this. This is a little piggy bank. It's got, I think it has Hong Kong or something on it. Made in Hong Kong, 1960s all the way. This is a little cheapo 5 and dime. It's a piggy bank, literally. Probably 10, 12, 15 bucks. Farm All. Here's a Farm All. Some kind of old, maybe it's an Erdl, I don't know. It looks like an Erdl. Yeah, it's an Erdl. Again, I pick up these kind of things for 50 cents. On average, these tractors, especially if it's an Erdl, even the small ones, I can get, say, 5 to, say, 10 bucks a piece on these. So, good item there. Let me just show you a couple pins. This video will probably be 2 videos just because of how I have to upload them. So, if it cuts right off in the middle somewhere, just expect another video coming up shortly. I don't want to ever do a video over an hour because it just ties up the system and it's just not easy to do. Here's a probably 1960s or 70s Smithsonian pin when they brought the space exhibit there. This might be 10 or 15 bucks. Olympic Games 1980, same thing, 10 or 15. Early SeaWorld pin, 1985. I'd probably get 8, 10 bucks. Well, I don't know. I'll have to look this one up with the whole black fin and all that kind of stuff. It might not be that good. These are all early pins. Let me see what this is. South Sea Plantation. Let's see here. Another Smithsonian. Cypress Gardens. Early Mystic Sea Point. I mean, this kind of stuff can sell a piece individually, and they do sell fairly well too. So hopefully this has given you some ideas on literally where I've made my money. You wanted to know where I sourced before I found pickers. This is the same kind of stuff. This is garage sales, flea markets, everywhere you would go. Thrift stores as well. I know these came from a thrift store, and probably Sabres a long time ago. These are actually, I think they're bridge counting, and you put it here when you got to a certain hand, and you'd keep track, and you could turn it by suit, and the whole works. I want to say I get like 6 or 8 bucks for the last couple I got out of these each. These are something cheap, something that's got felt in the bottom. I originally thought these were like handmade, but I really think that they mass-produced these because I found them many different times. So now here's another. This is 60s, early 70s. I remember these as a kid. Some of these came in big gumball machines for like 50 cents. Now one's got a broken leg, unfortunately. I still expect to get, say, 8, 10 bucks for this. Probably 50 cents or less you purchase something like that for. Let's pull these out here too. Now, there's a difference in some of these. Let me put that one down. That's not the figure I meant to grab. Where's the other one? Thought I had another one of these dudes here to show you. But I guess I didn't pull it out. Now, these are different than most. These are Japanese ones. Actually, Hong Kong, even better. These are probably 1960s, but if you look at them, they have cartoon character faces. Now, most of the time I get, say, $4 to $5 a piece on these. I've got probably a dozen or so of different animals, all with the cartoon look on them. They're anthropomorphic as well, which you just don't see very often. These are early, again, 60s. So on average, if I put a bunch of these together, say a dozen or so of these, I might get $30 out of them, believe it or not. Now, these you can tell are old. They're hand painted. And you can tell by like the ear on the elephant that it's hand painted. You're just going to have to get the gist on some of these to be able to do that. Vintage toys are my favorite. This is from my time frame. These are Muscle Man. Any of these little figures, and they come in all kinds of different things. Some of them look just like a little hand or a little pyramid. Let me see if we can get you to see the markings on the back, because that's key on the... There you go. There's the back. That's what you want to see on the majority of these are going to have that. Let's pull you another one. And each character, not only do they come in the color you see here, but they're usually in 3 or 4 different colors. Some colors, as I say, in other areas, make them worth a heck of a lot more. And there you can see the same markings on the other one. Some of these Muscle Men, individually, one of these little tiny figures can go for, say, $500 or $600. No exaggeration. There's one that has like swords in his hands and he's got like 3 arms on each side. I've sold a couple of those in the last, say, 5 or 6 months for almost $80 a piece. So these are something I always, always, always look for. Now, Pokemon as well, too, I sell. Unfortunately, he's got green tops up here. But you probably know who he is if you're into Pokemon at all. Some of these little Pokemons I can get, say, 30 or 40 bucks a piece for on some of the original ones. And I sell some of these on Amazon as well, too, believe it or not. Here's some other ones. These are cereal from Lady and the Tramp, I do believe. And that's Lady. I believe there's like 6 of these maybe. I've probably got them all through here. I save these up. I've sold probably a couple dozen sets of these. Flea markets and auctions are good places to buy big lump sums. I've got pickers these days, so I don't hunt too much of those anymore. This one needs a little cleaning, but it's just dirty. These go very well. These are something you can get for almost nothing all the time. Same with figures that look like this. This is a Cracker Jacks figure. These are a newer Cracker Jack. They're supposed to resemble like food molds and stuff. A pig and a turtle, you know, $3-4 a piece, maybe somewhere in that range. I'll probably put them in a lot because I've got a bunch of these. So here is a cereal. Next one's a cereal promo. Toucan Sam, I think, is USS Toucan. I think you put baking powder in there. Again, I don't know why it doesn't show very well, but I guess it doesn't like the yellow closeness on this. But anyway, that's a real good piece. Not worth a fortune, $6-8. But again, I pay like a quarter, a nickel or less for these type of items. Stuff like this too, same thing. And these are modular pieces, winds up. You could have added more to it as well and made a real long dog and mix them with other ones. This is early Hong Kong. On average, I'd say I probably get $6, $8, $10 for something like this. It still works. It's a 1960s bendy Hong Kong, nice one. Yeah, 1960. I can't quite make out. It looks like 68. Most of these little bendies I get, say, 8, 10, $15 for at you know, the bottom end on that. I got a bunch of pewter not too long ago. I just threw it in there and forgot about some of these. I've got a half a dozen or so owls. They're all marked on the bottom too. So some of these little tiny ones like this I can get 20 or $30 for. So look up your stuff. The smalls are where I've made pretty much my start. When we started to supplement and started to do away with clothing and when books went up, this paid our bills. All of the stuff you see here, this exact kind of stuff. Bought at the same places. No lie on that. This is literally the stuff that paid our bills until we moved on. I still sell this stuff. And in fact, as I said, we're going to pull this stuff out and sell it. Captain Kangaroo badge, 1950s or 60s. Pewter, and this is actually, let's see here. It's got a nice marking on it. Connecticut House. This is a miniature, probably colonial style pewter. Dollhouse miniatures, something like this, I might get 20, $30 for, maybe even up to 50. I'll have to look this exact make up. So, let's see what else I got here. Religious relic piece, Sacred Heart. Most Sacred Heart items go for decent money. Let's see what else I got here. Looks like some Cracker Jacks. Greenbrier, that's probably security or a military school of some sort. I don't know what this is. It looks like some kind of thing with a pearl in it. No idea. Made in Japan, red letter. This is some kind of little tiny... This could even be a Cracker Jacks for all I know. That's Cracker Jack for sure. The boot's Cracker Jack. 30s or something. You can tell it's 30s by the fact that this pin sticks out that far past the back. In the mood. This is a very good piece here. Probably 10, 15 bucks on something like that. So you can see this stuff looks like junk to most people. And again, I'm not exaggerating. There's maybe $1,000 I showed you in actual sale value. Little roulette wheel. All this stuff, especially since it still spins, you might get 20 bucks, 30 bucks for this right here. Again, this is junk to most people. This is stuff that you can pay a quarter for. If you've been keeping track on what I'm calling out in the prices on here, there is a lot of money in what I've just showed you, and it takes up a very small space. Now, let's see what this is. Looks like a gremlin or something. I don't know. Tootsie Car. I usually just save these up. I usually can get them for like 10 cents or so. Sometimes less than that. I'll save up and get a bunch of these, so... We saw the owl. Let's slide that over here. Now, these I almost say I did show you, but it's like a little case, like a pill case or something. And I think they were sterling. I think there's a mark on these, if I remember. Yeah, there is a mark, but I can't quite make it out. Again, these are probably going to be... Oops, dropped the other one. I might keep these or something. These are pretty cool, honestly. There's 2 of them. Easy to open. They're really unique. Looks like candy. If I put them up, I'm probably going to put them up for like $34.50 as decorative pill cases. In fact, that may be what they are. I'm not sure. That's rather interesting. Again, these are something I pay maybe a quarter for or something. Just like this piece here. This is from a gumball machine. 30, 40 bucks I might get out of this little guy here. Made in Japan. It's actually got a maker's mark or maker's name on it. Made in Japan, and this says Paris Co. and something. And you probably won't be able to see it, but there you go. Rather interesting mark on the bottom there. Rather interesting. Here's some crosses. Looks like they're all sterling. Yeah, a bunch of sterling items here. Again, I don't pay much for this stuff, and you can see the price tags on them. $1. $1.55, all sterling crosses. There's probably 30 or 40 bucks in here maybe with sterling. It probably weighs a good ounce. So again, cheap stuff, cheap stuff. Now here's a little lesson for you. I found this at Savers, if I'm not mistaken. And I found, there's the thunder again. I found probably a couple dozen of these in my day. What I do on these, believe it or not, is I'm going to take off this plate here, and I'm going to sell it as a token in the token section, because it's bronze. It's a bronze token of some sort that's been embedded in there. So if I sold this as a bowl, I might get, say, I don't know, 8, 10 bucks for it, maybe 14, 15 on a good day. I've put tokens like this up for 75 and gotten 50 bucks out of them once I crack off this part here. And it's been mounted in there somehow. I know sometimes it's rough on the edges on these, but I always do that. Always. It's a legit piece. You know, I've never been asked where it came from or what it is. It's a well-cast token. Let's see here. Maria. It's probably French, I would gather, or something along that line. Rather interesting piece. This is something I probably got for $1. Zippo lighter for Salem cigarettes. It's not a super old one. Still something like this, say 20, 30 bucks on something like that. Mickey Mouse. Now, I put these together usually in a lot. This came from the little train conductor. It's a wind-up train that goes around a track. I know that. I've seen the original piece that goes. Some of these little cats, like the Siamese here, can go for some money. They might have been to a play set. That's probably from a play set. It's some kind of food. That's pretty interesting. That's a pin of an old car. This stuff here, you know, took over for clothing for me, and so I got into paper and all the other stuff full-time and doing most of that. This stuff can literally make it make you. You're only paying pennies on $1 for some of this stuff. Again, this is something that's like a quarter. I probably would get, say, 15 or 20 bucks for this. So you list what I've shown you right now. You've got a couple weeks worth of income out of this stuff here.